All right, everybody. Good Saturday morning. We got some football today. Wild card weekend. Hope you guys have fun with it. I'll probably be streaming during some of the games and we'll be able to talk about it, but this video is not about that. This video is about the fact that we've given the team some time. We've followed it the best that we could, which we really couldn't follow it that well, to be perfectly honest, because everything was so behind closed doors. And we have seen a bunch of other teams make their big decisions at the top. So I think we can safely make some assumptions about the Seahawks offseason. At least the big things that could have happened. If they were going to happen, they probably would have happened by now. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to go forward understanding that the odds are extremely high, approaching 100%, that we're not going to get the wholesale changes that at least some of us wanted in 2022. So we got a couple tweets here from Greg Bell. I'm going to go ahead and run it down real quick. A league source who would know the upshot of the end of season meeting of Carroll, Schneider, and Ayaan folks are hyperventilating over tells me I'm not authorized to comment. Seahawks status remains quo. And then he had this other tweet where he elaborated on this point. The meeting has been over. Again, told repeatedly that Carroll, Schneider, and Ayaan saw this as a normal end-of-year deal and presenting her a sketch plan for 2022. Seahawks for last 12 years don't hold a press conference or make anything official off that. So basically, the implication is that if the Seahawks were going to move off of Carroll or Schneider, they would have said so by now, and the fact that they had this meeting and the fact they haven't said anything means that, well, they're going to be here going forward. So some of us had dreams of moving off of Pete Carroll for the 2022 season. Some of us wanted to move off of Schneider. At this point, the only thing that can be said within reason, the only thing that we can say as sane individuals is that it's clearly not going to happen. So feel whatever way you want to feel about that, and I certainly do. And I'm not thrilled about it, that's for sure, but we have to accept it as reality, and we have to move forward under that understanding. So we got to figure out a way that we think this team can compete, can win more than they lose, and maybe even make a run at things in 2022, knowing that Carroll and Schneider will be here. So I don't know what to say about Jody Allen. We had those comments from her a couple months ago about how she wasn't happy about the way the team handled their 2021 and that it sounded like she was open to making a big change. I don't know if the comment was misconstrued. I don't know if there might be something else going on a lower rung that might have her kind of, I don't want to say interfering, but her forcing the team to make some kind of significant change. I don't know if maybe she chickened out, but we're not going to get the big change. The only thing that I would say is still on the table, and this would actually be pretty big. We did get some word from one of the ESPN reporters, I think it was Fowler, that it was possible that Pete Carroll might be stripped of his personnel powers. Basically, he would no longer have final say in personnel decisions. The implication being that John Schneider was going to be the guy who actually started acting as a GM. Now, we didn't hear anything like that coming out of this meeting. In fact, we haven't really heard anything at all. But there is some possibility that that is something that would not be announced publicly. You just tell Carroll that, hey, we're not going to tell anybody this, but just understand you don't have final say in personnel anymore. We're going to hand that to Schneider. We're not going to strip you of the title because that's kind of embarrassing for you, and we don't want to do that to you, but understand that this relationship is going to change a little bit here. That's, I guess, possible for a few reasons. I feel like it's unlikely. I don't think Carroll would accept that. I think Carroll would throw a fit if he lost his personnel powers. I don't know if Schneider is somebody who can necessarily handle personnel powers well. We don't really have any evidence from his past that I know of that would indicate that he could be good at that. And Sometimes when a head coach loses their personnel powers, their GM powers, you do hear about it publicly. So the fact that we haven't tells me that it's looking like more of the same. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Pete, the coach, has real problems. But Pete, the GM, is the bottom of the barrel, below the deck that the barrel is stashed on. So I really wish that we could at least get that. But my gut tells me right now, you're going to be seeing the same stuff. And not only are we bringing back Pete Carroll, we're bringing back the full Pete Carroll philosophy. You remember a couple of weeks ago, he came out in a press conference and said straight up, I don't think we need to change anything. I think I'm super smart. I think I know what I'm doing. I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, no, we don't need to change what we're doing. I'm the smartest guy in the room. This year was a fluke. Just pretend this year didn't happen. And because of that, I'm inclined to believe that you're going to see the same stuff in 2022 that you've always seen. And I'm going to go ahead and say it one more time. I don't think that's the best path forward for this team. I think that Carroll's inability to make even marginally competent personnel decisions have held this team back for the last 7 years now. I think that his coaching, while it does have some clear areas of strength, like he's a good motivator, the players, even when this season got really bad, were playing hard for him. He's great with cornerbacks. He does do some good things on that defense. There are a lot of holes in his ability to actually coach a team. It's not just the GM stuff, even though I think that's the worst of it. But, hey, it's not going to happen right now. Now, you might see some things happen downstream. We don't know about the coordinators. We don't know about the position coaches. We don't know about, like, the strength and conditioning coach. Those guys may very well have their jobs on the line over the next few months that they could be moved off of. But for the most part, does it really matter? Do you really think that matters that much? Okay, if you move off of Norton, you think Carroll's going to bring in a Brian Flores and tell him to take complete control of the defense? No. If you get rid of Norton, you're going to bring in another Carroll puppet who runs the 4-3, cover 3, mostly, who does the same things that we've done on defense for the last 12 years, ever since Carroll got here. And it's going to be Carroll's defense, bottom line. You're not going to change anything radically moving off Norton. Maybe you change things a little bit, but the actual source of the things on defense that we don't like stays. If you move off Waldron, who do you think Carroll's going to hire? Who's he going to get? Probably some chucklehead who wants to run, pass every drive. Might even be Pete Carroll's son. Like, I'm not even kidding with that, by the way. We could legitimately hire Pete Carroll's son to be our offensive coordinator. Is that going to be any better? You excited for another year of run, pass every drive? Just 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7, incomplete punt? Yeah, no. That's the kind of guy Pete Carroll's going to hire. These other guys you can move off of, Aaron Curry, Deshaun Shedd, Clint Hurts, who, by the way, may very well go to the University of Miami. That's what they're talking about right now. Who are you going to bring in to replace him? Are they going to make a real difference? It's Pete Carroll that makes the defensive line play the way they play, not Clint Hurts. Maybe it gets a little bit better if you bring in somebody a little bit better. A little bit. But they don't have control over whether or not our defensive line plays run first. That's a Pete Carroll thing. He's the only head coach in the league, supposedly, that does that. And he's not going to stop doing it just because he has to swap out his defensive line coach. It's going to be the same thing. Now, if you want to move off Ivan the Terrible at strength and conditioning, I think that would be great. I really hope we can at least get that done. But other than that, these other changes we can make, who cares? So, if the big changes with this team are not going to come with the coaches, then I guess it would come with the players. Because if Carroll's safe, then I don't think anything in the coaching staff or front office is going to change, really. You're going to see some pieces get swapped out. You're going to see some things get switched around. But the big things that make this team what it is right now are going to remain. So you could see some turnover with the roster. But is that really going to be what gets this team over the hump? Especially when you hear the rhetoric from this coaching staff right now and it sounds for all the world like they think they can compete for the Super Bowl in 2022. So I'm certainly disappointed. I know some of you guys are cool with this. I know some of you guys even like this. You guys think this is the right move. I understand that. I understand that. I get that Carroll has done some good things here. I understand that he has won more than he's lost here for sure. But before I get out of here with this video, I just want to comment about something. I've gotten a lot of comments over the last week or so, and I read every comment I get. I don't respond to most of them because I don't have time for it, but I do read every comment that I get, and I've gotten a lot of comments from the Carroll crew saying things like, you're going to be eating your words next year, or, well, now this year, when the Seahawks go 11-6, or some of them go to like 12-5. We're going to run it back with Carroll, Schneider, Wilson, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We're going to get back to our winning ways. We're going to go 11-6. We're going to go 12-5. You know what I find hilarious, though? Not a single one of those commenters, I haven't gotten a single comment that never say, you're going to be eating your words next year when we make the NFC title game, when we win the conference, when we're playing in the Super Bowl, when we win the Super Bowl next year. You never hear that. It's like they know. It's like they know. I think you guys do know. I think you guys do know, and at some point along the line, for some tragic reason, you've come to believe that piling up wins in the regular season is the end goal here. Like that's something that makes all this worth it. I'll tell you straight up. I think this team could win 11 games next year with Carroll, with Schneider, with Wilson, with bringing back most of this crew from 2021. I think they could. The schedule's not so bad. The division's probably going to fall off a little bit one way or the other. Yeah, okay, we can win 11 or 12 games in 2021, and we can do it without a big change to the philosophy. You could do all the same crap. You could cheap out on the offensive line, invest heavily on the defense, make some weird trade for a defensive player. You could do all those things, and you could still pile up the wins. Sure. But are you going to get to where you really, really want to get to? Are you going to get back to that point where you're competing for a Super Bowl? I think you guys already know the answer, whether or not you're willing to admit it. So that's really all I'm going to say for now. I just kind of found it amusing that you had all these Carroll defenders, people who still think Carroll can do it. I didn't see a one of them promise like, oh, we're going to get back to the Super Bowl this year and you're going to be sorry you said all that mean stuff about Pete Carroll. It's never that. It's always, we're going to win 11 games. We're going to win 12 games. They'll go that far. They won't get to the point where they're actually like, yeah, we're going to go on a run in the playoffs. We're going to win a couple playoff games this year. Can't do it. And we all know why that's the case. So, Carroll's back for 2022. Looks like he's maintaining his absolute control over the organization. Schneider's back for whatever that's worth, which might not be that much. And because of that, I do strongly suspect that a lot of the top assistants will be back, which it doesn't matter that much to me. And most importantly, the Pete Carroll philosophy is going to be back. You're going to see the same weird draft picks. You're going to see the same undervaluing of an offensive line, overvaluing of undervalued positions on the defense. You might see us bring back Wagner, even though there's absolutely no reason for us to. You're going to see us probably do some other things with guys who shouldn't be here next year. You know, Chris Carson. Pete's going to make sure he gets his money because he feels bad for him. Look for Chris Carson to come back next year and just spend the whole season on the PUP because his neck's all messed up. I feel it coming. And I'm not going to get too mad when it happens because I can already feel it coming. But hey, we are probably going to win more than we lose. If Wilson can stay healthy in 2022, we're probably going to win at least 10 games, make the playoffs. But that's about it. And maybe that'll be just enough for Pete to stick around, but it's not going to be enough to make most fans like me, truly happy with the product. And we're going to run out another year of franchise future Hall of Fame quarterback in his prime. We're going to, or well, not in his prime anymore, but close to his prime. Yeah, in the tail end of his prime, probably. So, I'll comment more about this going down the line, but I just wanted to go ahead and make a video where I declare it that I think it's time to stop thinking about guys like Brian Flores and Brian DeBole and Eric Bieniemy. Time to get it out of our heads. We got to be real here. And look, I think that if this team is willing to learn from their mistakes in 2022, then they could have a really good season. They could make that run. But I'm not seeing any reason to believe this team is going to learn from their mistakes. Almost sounds like they don't think there are any mistakes to learn from. And we'll see where we are in a year. And I got a lot of people in my comments telling me that, hey, you're wrong about this. Carroll's the guy. We're going to find out in the next 12 months, I guess. And, well, yeah, that's all I can say right now. So see you guys later. Go Hawks. Have fun watching football today.